So I'm very happy to welcome to the March Bookish Resistance Club, Julie L. Brown, who has a book called No One Will Save Us. And welcome, Julie. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, your writing journey?
Well, first, thanks for having me. My writing journey started in 2010. I was actually an accountant and became a chief financial officer of various organizations and never thought I was going to be a writer. And one day, my wife said to me, You should be a writer. And I was like, I'm a reader. I'm a lifelong reader. I'm not a writer. And then she said, You're always critiquing books and saying what you would do better. You should write your own book. So that night, I had a dream about the plot for my first book called Don't Speak. And I woke up, wrote everything down, and then researched on Google, how do you write a book? And just started writing. And it took me about 5 years to write that first book because I did not know what I was doing. And then published that in 2016. And it's funny, when I said I wasn't a writer, I found this box in the garage that had a short story I wrote when I was 5 years old, a play I wrote in high school, a novel I had started. So I always was a writer. And so after Don't Speak, I wrote two more books in the Jade Harrington series, which is a thriller series based on a black kick-ass FBI agent, and and then I wrote a short story in the early 2010s, and my wife again said, "You know what? This could be a novel." And I said, "No, it's not a novel. It's a short story." But then my wheels started turning, and I developed the plot based on five short stories that eventually turned into a novel. And it's called Bend Don't Break, and that novel's coming out in February. And then I went to grad school during the I started in January 2020. It happened to be during the pandemic, so I was actually getting my MFA during that time, and No One Will Save Us was my thesis for that
Wow.
book. And then after 2022, when I graduated, I spent another year finishing it, writing it, and polishing it into a manuscript. So that's how I arrived here today.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think a lot of the best writers are readers, they just
Yes.
consume a lot of that. And I can definitely see where that would, one thing precludes the other one. Tell me a little bit more about the Jade Harrington series, because you write it under a slightly different name.
hmm
And that one is, yeah, is it an ongoing series still?
Yes. So, Jade Harrington, uh, it's political thriller series written under J.L. Brown, which at the time when I started writing it, women still were using acronyms when they wrote kind of thriller or spy novels, and so I did the same. And it also I thought could be a little controversial about some of the subjects, and uh, killing people in my writing might impact my day job. So I used J.L. Brown. And Jade is she's actually mixed race. She's black and she's Japanese. And she is a just won't take any stuff from anyone. And there's a parallel story with a woman named Whitney Fairchild, who is a senator, a white woman, and she is running for president and running to be the first president of the United States. And so, what's really interesting, I'm not going to give the plot away to Don't Speak, but a lot of the things I wrote about before started happening in real life. And so, I thought that was kind of interesting, and the way I was thinking about the world and where we were going sort of happened. But then I thought I want it to be different. So I actually think the Jade Harrington series is really timely right now, especially for anybody who is hurting about the political environment that we're in, to see that there could have been a different way. Uh, so 3 books in, I am actually People don't know this. I'm working on the fourth Jade book right now, and I'm hoping it comes out in the fall.
Oh, very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, it sounds, I do love political thrillers and, police procedurals and that kind of thing. So yeah, I am definitely very much into the Jade Harrington uh series. And speaking of what could have been, tell me a little bit about No One Will Save Us.
Sure. So No One Will Save Us starts in the Queendom of Cana, which is a queendom in West Africa. And it features a princess named Chubuke, who goes by Chi, and she's just a precocious child who just knows her destiny. And one day she's running into a forest and she meets a young girl named Effie. And when Effie leaves, she thinks that Effie has come back to scare her. And it turns out that it is a pale man. And she has never seen a pale man before. And it turns out he is Portuguese. And so 10 years later in 1619, which is hopefully a significant date for many people, villagers around the queendom start disappearing. And she vows to herself that she is now in a princess warrior. She's in an all-woman army. And the Canadian warriors, led by Chi, vow to find the missing villagers no matter where they are. And their quest takes them across the ocean to Jamestown, Virginia. And I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, alternate history. Is this book a standalone?
So that is a good question. It right now it's a standalone, but I do envision it could possibly be a trilogy. I love alternative history. I've read a lot of it, and I always think about what could have been. Either, what if a figure like Hitler had been born in Madagascar? What would have happened? What if an important person was on a way to an important meeting and missed the train? Would this certain war happened? And so I think the thesis of this book is what would have happened to America if the Atlantic slave trade had never happened or had been stopped in its tracks. So the subsequent two books that I've been thinking about, one would take place probably in the late 19th century because I'm just sort of fascinated with that time period. And what would America be like if there were no racism? If people of color had received the credit for some of the inventions that they made that were eventually attributed to white people. So that's been percolating in my head, and then taking the next step and having a book based on the descendants of Chi and some of the other characters, and No One Will Save Us in present day. What would America in present day be like without racism? So uh, that's a possibility. It's going to be a big body of work, and to reimagine something that I have no way of imagining right now because it's just so contrary to the world we currently live in. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that you decide to write uh
oh,
this. I started No One Will Save Us, and yeah, I think it's a very important theme and important, what if. It was funny because one of the first things I ever gave my husband when we met it's a series of books. It was called What If, and it just goes through various events in history. What if so and so had died before they
hmm.
did this? What if so and so had won this battle? And yeah, it's I don't know, kind of. I feel this wistfulness about this book because, if only, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very timely, very, very
Mm.
timely, sadly. Um, what do you, I've asked this of a few authors, and there's a consistent thread when I ask, what advice would you give a new author, somebody who's trying to break through? And they always mention community. They always mention have people around you that, support you, that speak kindly to you, that
Hmm.
help you get past I can't do this, or, oh, this is crap, or what was I thinking I could write a book. What would you advise someone, who's trying to make it in the world of publishing?
I think the first thing is to write the story and to get the draft on the page. And whatever it is, don't worry about sales or finding certain readers, just whatever calls to you that you want to write, just write it. So that even if it doesn't get published, it's still something that you like. Writing a book is a humongous accomplishment. You wrote this book, and that's something to be proud of in itself. Um, I, uh, writing, reading a lot. As you mentioned, writers have to be voracious readers, and not only in the genre that they're writing in, but multiple genres, because everything could impact um, your writing style, your voice. You can learn, I don't write romance, but romance is a huge market. They're obviously doing something right. I can learn something from them. So, reading widely is my second thing. And then the third thing I think is community. Um, Writing is a solitary endeavor. You spend a lot of time by yourself in your head. And sometimes it's good to talk to people who know what you're going through. You could, swap tips or commiserate about different things. And there's a lot of rejection in the publishing life, whether it's querying agents, uh, your book being rejected by publishers, your book being rejected by readers, that it is nice to have that community who I think almost everyone has been through some type of rejection, so they know how you feel. They could motivate you to get through it. And one of the great things when I did, I debated a long time whether to get my MFA, obtain my MFA, whether it's going to be worth it because it is really expensive. And uh, and it was nice that I'm still in a writers group with five of my colleagues, and so. It's just great. We get together once a month and swap stories and critique each other's work. And so I always look forward to that because I have my tribe um, that uh, that I can commiserate with, but also learn from. You know, I think writing is, I think most things in life, but especially writing is something you're always going to be learning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always trying to learn something new, and I can imagine for anyone, especially someone in a creative field, um, that would be vital to your work, to what you do. Um, you have two, different, a couple of different. You have the Jade Harrington. You have No One Will Save Us. What do you hope that people take away from your books?
So another good question. I want people to be entertained, but I also, if I can make them think or um, want to discuss my book with other people, uh, I don't want to write those type of stories where somebody reads it, puts it on a shelf, and never thinks about it. If I could write something that maybe stays with somebody long after they turn the page, or create characters that they can identify with or root for, That's really important to me, and that's the feedback I receive from my readers is, I love Jade, she kicks ass. I wish I could be more like her. Um, or no one will save us. Some readers have said it's just so powerful, inspiring, and so those compliments are everything to me, and why I write.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know it's the weekend and, you know, there's lots of stuff to do, but I really do appreciate it. I look forward to having you in our March book club and yeah, featuring your books and just having other people discover your work. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, Claudia, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the readers in the book club that read the book. I think this is an important endeavor, so I really appreciate you and that you're featuring, marginalized writers who just don't receive the opportunities that some other writers receive. I think is incredible. So thank you.
Oh, of course. I think it's so important, you know, you have so many people going, well, I don't know where to start. Well, you can start here. You can start because every recommendation that I will give is gonna be, you know, so far the feedback that I've had is I never knew about this. I just found a, you know, new auto buy for me. So yeah, let's get more readers finding about Jade and about Chi and about all your other characters. Thank you so much. And yes, March Bookish Resistance Club uh, will be part of the slate then.
Right. Thank you,
Thank you.
Claudia.